June 23, 1941. The sun hangs low over the dusty plains near Brody, Ukraine, where the air thickens with the acrid stench of diesel exhaust and cordite. You're crouched in the turret of a Panzer III, Lieutenant Hans Becker, your eyes scanning the horizon through the periscope as the ground trembles under the tracks of Army Group South's advancing columns. The roar of Maybach engines drowns out the distant thunder of artillery, and sweat beads on your forehead under the steel helmet, mixing with the grit kicked up by the endless march eastward. Operation Barbarossa is in its second day, and the Wehrmacht's Panzers slice through Soviet border defenses like a hot knife through butter, or so it seems. Your crew, grizzled veterans from Poland and France, joke over the intercom about the primitive Bolshevik scrap they'll crush under their treads, echoing the Führer's promise of a swift victory over the Red Army's outdated machines. The column halts abruptly as scouts report movement ahead, Soviet armor counterattacking from the flanks. You spot them first, hulking shapes emerging from the tree line, their wide tracks churning the soft earth without bogging down, unlike the narrower ones on your Panzer III. One stands out, its turret angled oddly, the hull sloping in a way that defies the boxy designs you're used to. It's a T-34, though you don't know its name yet. Just another red tank, crude and unrefined, its welds rough and unfinished, like something hammered together in a Siberian forge by illiterate peasants. Look at that monstrosity, your gunner, Feldwebel Karl Müller, chuckles, loading a 50mm round into the breech. Sloped like a barn roof, but probably as fragile as their tractors. One shot, and it'll brew up like the rest. The order crackles over the radio from Oberst Friedrich von Mellenthin, commanding the 11th Panzer Division, engage and destroy. Your tank lurches forward, the 300-horsepower engine straining as you close to 500 meters. Müller aims at the lead T-34, its 76mm gun barrel swinging toward you with deceptive slowness. The shot rings out, a solid hit on the frontal glacis plate, but instead of the satisfying bloom of flame, the round ricochets skyward in a shower of sparks, leaving only a superficial gouge on the sloped armor. "What the hell?" Müller mutters, reloading frantically as the T-34 returns fire. The shell screams past, exploding behind you and shredding a half-track full of infantrymen from the 15th Panzer Grenadier Regiment. Chaos erupts. More T-34s pour from concealed positions, their Christie suspension allowing them to bound over ditches and uneven terrain that would stall your lighter panzers. You watch in disbelief as a Panzer IV from your platoon, commanded by Hauptmann Erich Löwe, unleashes its 75mm short-barreled gun at point-blank range, 300 meters. The hit strikes true, but again, the armor holds, the slope deflecting the energy harmlessly. The T-34's response is merciless, its 76mm F-34 gun booms punching clean through Löwe's turret, igniting the ammunition in a catastrophic fireball. Screams cut through the radio before static takes over. The battlefield transforms into a maelstrom. Soviet infantrymen from the 10th Tank Division swarm alongside the T-34s, their PPSH-41 submachine guns chattering as they exploit the confusion. Your driver, Gefreiter Otto Schultz, reverses desperately, the tracks spinning in the mud as another T-34 bears down. Its mobility is uncanny, faster than expected for its 26-ton weight, powered by a V2 diesel engine that belches black smoke but refuses to falter. You fire again, this time aiming for the tracks, but the wide, interlocking links shrug off the damage. The air fills with the metallic tang of burning oil and the cries of wounded men as anti-tank guns from the 76th Artillery Regiment, 37mm PaK-36s, derisively called door knockers by your troops, pepper the T-34s to no avail. Shells bounce like pebbles off a wall, the sloped armor turning lethal penetrations into glancing blows. In the command tent kilometers back, General der Panzertruppe Ewald von Kleist-Porus over maps, his staff dismissing early reports of these new Bolshevik tanks as exaggerated panic from green units. "Their designs are simplistic, barbaric," von Kleist scoffs to his adjutant, Major Joachim Piper. echoing intelligence briefs that painted the Red Army's armor as obsolete relics from the 1930s. The T-34's exterior does look crude. Rough castings, no frills, no ergonomic refinements like the periscopes and cupolas on German tanks. But as the day wears on, the ridicule fades. Radio traffic buzzes with urgent pleas for 18mm flak guns, the only weapons proving effective at cracking these beasts from afar. By dusk, the plains near Brody are littered with the husks of over a dozen Panzers, their crews bailing out under withering fire. You, Lieutenant Becker, managed to withdraw your damaged tank, the hull scarred but intact, your mind reeling from the encounter. What was supposed to be a rout has turned into a desperate scramble, the T-34's simplicity revealing itself not as weakness, but as ruthless efficiency. Its gun outranges yours, its armor defies logic, and its mobility turns the vast Eastern Front into a playground for ambush. Whispers spread through the ranks. This isn't just another tank, it's a harbinger. As night falls, the distant rumble of more Soviet engines echoes, promising that the mockery of yesterday will become the nightmare of tomorrow. June 25, 1941. The sweltering heat of the Ukrainian steppe clings to your uniform like a shroud as you, Lieutenant Hans Becker, huddle in a makeshift repair depot near Dubno, the clang of hammers on metal punctuating the groans of wounded soldiers from the 11th Panzer Division. Your Panzer III sits jacked up on logs, mechanics swarming over the scarred hull where a T-34's shell grazed the turret ring, shearing off the commander's cupola. Grease-smeared hands pass tools under floodlights powered by a sputtering generator, the air heavy with the smell of welding torches and unburied corpses from yesterday's clash. Feldwebel Karl Müller, your gunner, nurses a bandaged arm, his face etched with disbelief as he recounts the encounter to a cluster of crews from the 13th Panzer Regiment. That thing looked like a farmer's contraption, welds like chicken wire, no radio worth a damn, optics straight from a museum, he spits, eliciting nervous laughter. How do Ivans build something that ugly and have it eat our best shots for breakfast? Word spreads like wildfire through the bivouac. Oberleutnant Fritz Bayerlein, a staff officer attached to General von Kleist's Panzer Group 1, scribbles frantic notes in his field journal detailing the T-34's peculiarities. The 45mm thick sloped frontal armor, equivalent to 90mm vertical and deflection power. The wide tracks distributing its weight over soft ground, preventing the bogging that plagues German designs in the raspy mud. Captured Soviet crewmen, ragged and defiant from the 8th Mechanized Corps, are interrogated under guard by Abwehr agents. One, a young sergeant named Ivan Petrov, smirks through split lips as he describes the tank's origins, designed by Mikhail Koshkin and Kharkov, rushed into production despite Stalin's purges claiming half the engineers. Simple? Da, comrade. Simple means it works in snow, mud, hellfire. Your fancy machines break if you sneeze on them. Back at the front, the ridicule persists even as losses mount. In a command briefing tent, Colonel Hermann Balk, commanding the 3rd Panzer Regiment, pores over reconnaissance photos with his subordinates, mocking the T-34's diesel engine, a Kharkov V2 aluminum beast churning 500 horsepower without the fire risk of gasoline. Crude reliability for crude people, Balk snorts, but his eyes betray unease as reports tally 20 Panzers lost to just 5 T-34s in a skirmish near Ridiculed. The Soviet 4th Mechanized Corps, under General Andrei Vlasov, unleashes waves of these tanks in counter-thrusts, their 76.2 mm guns lobbing high-explosive shells that turn infantry support into minced meat. You overhear radio intercepts. A Panzer II from Aufklärungsabteilung 59 spots a platoon of T-34s crossing a river ford, their snorkel-like exhausts allowing deep wading that German tanks can't match without engineering bridges. The mockery reaches Berlin's halls via urgent teletypes. At the Wolf's Lair in East Prussia, Adolf Hitler slams a fist on the map table during a strategy session with General Heinz Guderian, the architect of Blitzkrieg. Guderian, fresh from inspections, recounts frontline tales. Mein Führer, Our troops call it the Russian monster. Ugly, yes, but it bounces our 50mm like rain on tin. The crews are poorly trained, often abandoning them at first hit, but the machine itself... Hitler waves off the concern initially, his voice booming over the hum of ventilation fans. Nonsense. Inferior Slavic engineering. Our Panzer IVs will prevail. Yet, privately, he orders Fritz Todt, the Minister of Armaments, to dispatch inspection teams. Engineers like Dr. Ferdinand Porsche arrive at captured hulks, prodding the armor with calipers. Astonished at the interleaved road wheels that shrug off mud and ice, the gun's L-11 variant later upgraded to F-34, capable of penetrating 70mm at 1,000 meters. On the ground, the turning point bites hard. July 1st, near Lutsk, your regrouped division launches a pincer attack, but T-34s from the 34th Tank Division ambush from fog-shrouded forests. Hauptmann Erich Loh's replacement, a brash Unteroffizier named Wolfgang Ritter, commands a Stug 3 assault gun, its low silhouette pumping 75mm shells into the fray. One scores a mobility kill on a T-34, track shattered, but the crew bails out fighting, Mosin-Nagant rifles barking as they cover the retreat. The air reeks of burning rubber and cordite, the ground pocked with craters where 88mm Flak 36 guns, dragged forward desperately, finally punch through at range, their high-velocity rounds tearing open engine decks. Crews cheer the kills, but the cost, ammunition shortages loom, fuel convoys harassed by partisans. As weeks grind on, the initial laughter sours. Guderian wires OKH, Oberkommando des Heeres. The T-34's superiority in armor and armament demands immediate response. Our divisions are hemorrhaging. Mechanics strip parts from knocked-out T-34s, marveling at the simplicity, no complex hydraulics, just robust mechanics that peasants can repair with hammers. Soviet production ramps unseen. Factories in Stalingrad and Chelyabinsk, Tankograd, churn out hundreds monthly, untouched by Luftwaffe bombs for now. You, Becker, pen a letter home, the words smudged with oil. We mocked it, Mother, but it mocks us back. God help us if they learn to use it properly. The Eastern Front stretches like a bleeding wound, the T-34's shadow lengthening. High command debates, upgun the Panzer IV, rush the VK-30.01 prototypes? The graveyard begins to fill, not just with metal, but with the Wehrmacht's illusions. July 6, 1941. Dust devils whirl across the scorched fields outside Minsk, Belarus, where the acrid bite of gunpowder mingles with the metallic scent of overheated engines. You're back in the fray, Lieutenant Hans Becker, your repaired Panzer III rumbling forward with the 2nd Panzer Group under General Guderian, the tracks grinding over the remnants of shattered BT-7s and KV-1s from earlier routes. But the T-34s lurk like predators in the tall grass and forested ravines, their camouflage netting blending with the summer foliage as Soviet spotters from the 5th Army relay positions via field telephones buried in the earth. The heat inside your tank is stifling, the air thick with the sweat of your crew. Feldwebel Müller at the gun, Gefreiter Schultz wrestling the steering levers, and loader Private Heinz Vogel slamming rounds into the breach with calloused hands. The ambush strikes at dawn. A platoon of T-34s from the 7th Tank Division erupts from a sunken road, their 76mm guns traversing with mechanical precision. You spot the lead tank, its hull down in a defilade position, the sloped turret barely visible above the lip of the depression. "Target! 800 meters! Fire!" you bark, and Müller unleashes a 50mm armor-piercing round. It strikes the mantlet, sparking harmlessly as the slope angles the impact away. The T-34 retaliates instantly, the shell whistling overhead before detonating a supply truck in a bloom of fire and shrapnel. Chaos reigns as more T-34s maneuver, their wide tracks allowing hairpin turns on the soft soil, outflanking your column. A Panzer IV from the 18th Panzer Division, upgunned with the new KWK-40 long-barreled 75mm, scores a hit on a T-34's side armor at 400 meters. Finally, penetration, the enemy tank brewing up in oily flames as its diesel fuel ignites less catastrophically than gasoline. But victories are Pyrrhic. Soviet crews, though often conscripts with minimal training, fight with feral tenacity. One T-34, commanded by Lieutenant Yuri Sokolov of the 20th Tank Brigade, rams a stalled Panzer III, the impact crumpling the Germans' thinner side plates and pinning it in place. Sokolov's gunner pumps high explosive into the immobilized foe at point blank, the blast ripping through the hull and silencing the screams inside. You evade a similar fate by Schultz's quick reverse, but the radio net floods with distress calls. T-34s breaking through, need artillery support. Forward observers from the 129th Infantry Division call in 105mm howitzers, shells arcing down to crater the earth around the advancing Soviets, forcing some to withdraw, but not before claiming half your platoon's strength. In the rear echelons, the mockery evolves into grim respect. General Walter von Brauchitsch, OKH chief, receives Guderian's dispatches at his headquarters in Smolensk, the map stained with coffee rings as staff officers plot the mounting losses. Over 300 Panzers destroyed or disabled in the first month, many to T-34s. This tank changes everything, Guderian argues in a heated phone call, his voice crackling over the line. Its mobility turns our flanks into traps. Its armor makes our anti-tank obsolete. Brauchitsch nods unseen, ordering expedited production of the 75mm POC-40 anti-tank gun, its high-velocity rounds capable of piercing 100mm at 500 meters. Meanwhile, captured T-34s are shipped west to Kummersdorf proving grounds, where engineers like Heinrich Kniepkamp dissect them under floodlights, marveling at the Christie suspension's durability, springs and bogies that absorb shocks better than torsion bars on early Panzers. The front lines pulse with adaptation. Near Kiev, the Battle of Brody rages into its second week, T-34s from General Mikhail Kirponos's southwestern front, clashing with von Rundstedt's Army Group South. Hauptmann Wilhelm Ritter, now leading a battery of 80mm flak guns repurposed for anti-tank, positions his pieces on a ridgeline overlooking the approach. The air hums with the drone of Stuka dive bombers from Luftflotte 4, their sirens wailing as they strafe T-34 columns, but the tank's sloped roofs deflect bomb fragments. Ritter's gunners wait until 200 meters, then unleash hell, the 88's flat trajectory punching through frontal armor, hulls erupting in secondary explosions as ammunition cooks off. "Got one!" a loader shouts, but the cost is high. Soviet IL-2 Sturmoviks counterattack, their 23mm cannons raking the exposed guns, leaving twisted metal and mangled bodies. As August looms, the Wehrmacht's advance slows, supply lines stretching thin over 500 kilometers of partisan-infested territory. You, Becker, witness a T-34 crew surrender after their track is mined, the men emerging with hands up, their uniforms threadbare but spirits unbroken. Interrogation reveals the tank's secrets, produced in masses at factory number 183 in Kharkov, with aluminum engines to save steel, and optics from Lomo factories that, while basic, suffice in the close quarters brawls of the East. German troops begin scavenging, mounting captured 76mm guns on Marder tank destroyers, a stopgap born of necessity. High Command convenes in Berlin. Albert Speer, ascending in armaments, hears Hitler's rant, "Copy it, improve it." Thus sparks the Panther's genesis, the VK 30.02 project, Daimler-Benz and MAN, competing to birth a 45-ton behemoth with sloped armor inspired by the foe. Prototypes roll in secrecy, but the Eastern Front doesn't wait. Near Smolensk, T-34s spearhead counteroffensives, their packs overwhelming isolated Panzer spearheads. The graveyard expands, twisted wrecks dotting the landscape, a testament to underestimation. The once mocked machine now dictates the war's rhythm, forcing Germany into a frantic arms race amid the blood-soaked steppes. August 15, 1941. The relentless downpour turns the roads to quagmires outside Vyazma, Russia, where mud clings to your boots like a living thing as you, Lieutenant Hans Becker, oversee the refueling of your battered Panzer III from the 7th Panzer Division. The air is thick with the fumes of low-octane synthetic fuel, rationed now as supply trains lag behind the advance. Thunder rumbles in sync with distant artillery, and your crew huddles under a tarpaulin, sharing ersatz coffee while scanning the tree line for shadows. The summer offensives have pushed deep, but the T-34's sting lingers, your division's strength halved, workshops overflowing with cannibalized parts. Feldwebel Müller sharpens a bayonet idly, muttering about the Ivan's devil tank that no longer draws laughs. The ridicule has curdled into wary awe. The counterattack comes at twilight. T-34s from the Soviet 16th Army, reinforced by fresh units from the Urals, burst from camouflaged revetments, their wide tracks slicing through the muck, where narrower German ones sink axle deep. You climb into the turret, the hatch clanging shut as Schultz guns the engine. The lead T-34, its hull splattered with branches for concealment, charges at 40 km/h, the V2 diesel roaring like a beast unchained. Its 76mm gun traverses, firing on the move, a feat your stabilizers can't match without halting. The shell impacts a nearby Panzer IV, the upgraded long-barrel 75mm turret spinning wildly as internal fires erupt. "Flank them!" you shout over the intercom, but the T-34s pivot with eerie agility, their sloped sides presenting angled defenses that turn hits into ricochets. In the melee, Hauptmann Gerhard Fischer's company from the 25th Panzer Regiment deploys new tactics, wolfpack ambushes using terrain to force side shots. Fischer's own Panzer IIIJ, with thicker 50mm frontal armor, nails a T-34 in the turret ring at 200 meters, the round jamming the traverse mechanism. The Soviet crew abandons ship, but not before grenadiers from the Grossdeutschland division close in with Molotov cocktails, flames licking the engine deck. Yet for every kill, 2 more T-34s emerge, production surging to 1,200 units monthly as factories relocate east beyond bomber range. Soviet commanders like General Georgy Zhukov study the beast's potential, drilling crews in combined arms, tanks screening infantry, artillery softening targets. As autumn chills set in, the front congeals near Moscow. October 2, 1941, Operation Typhoon launches amid freezing rain, your column pushing through Gzhatsk under Luftwaffe cover. But Zhukov's reserves, including T-34 equipped brigades from the 5th Guards Tank Army precursors, wait in ambush. The snow begins, blanketing the landscape in white, where the T-34's wide tracks and diesel reliability shine. German Maybachs seize in the cold, gasoline freezing, while the V2 starts with compressed air, indifferent to 40 degrees C. You witness a T-34 platoon from Colonel Mikhail Katukov's 4th Tank Brigade decimate a probe, hull down on a ridge, their guns outranging the short 75mm on most Panzer IVs. Shells arc down, punching through roofs, crews vaporized in ammo detonations. Panic ripples up the chain. At the Führer headquarters in Rastenburg, Hitler pores over reports with General Feldmarschall Fedor von Bock, commander of Army Group Center. "The T-34 is turning our panzers into scrapyards," von Bock admits, his breath fogging the window as aides display captured samples. Hitler, pacing, demands acceleration. "Panther, now!" The competition heats. Mann's design wins over Daimler-Benz's T-34 copy, incorporating sloped armor, a high-velocity 75mm KWK-42 gun, and interleaved wheels for better flotation. Engineers at Henschel and Porsche toil in Essen factories, blueprints evolving under secrecy, inspired by the enemy's genius. The VK-4501P. Tiger prototype diverges, but Panther aims to match the T-34's balance. 45 tons, 700 horsepower Maybach, Schachterlaufwerk suspension mimicking the Christie's robustness. On the line, adaptations frenzy. November 27th, near Istra, your unit integrates captured T-34s. Repainted with Balkenkreuz, manned by turncoat crews from the Russian Liberation Army. But reliability falters without Soviet parts. The winter offensive hits. December 5th, Zhukov unleashes the Moscow counterattack, T-34s leading Siberian divisions in blizzards. Katukov's brigade smashes through the 2nd Panzer Division, tanks bounding over snowdrifts, their whitewash camouflage rendering them ghosts. You retreat under fire, Schultz navigating frozen rivers the T-34's ford effortlessly. 80mm guns and new PaK-40s claim tolls, but the Red Army recaptures ground, littering fields with 700 German tanks. By spring 1942, the graveyard sprawls. Thousands of wrecks from Minsk to Moscow's suburbs, the T-34's tally mounting. Guderian, sidelined but influential, pushes for quality over quantity. Panther prototypes test at Kummersdorf, their sloped fronts deflecting 76 mm like the original. Yet flaws emerge, transmission woes, fuel thirst. The race intensifies as Stalin's factories, now in Tankograd, output upgraded T-34-85s with 85mm guns. The once derided simplicity has forged an icon, burying German arrogance in frozen earth, birthing a desperate Teutonic response. April 8, 1943. The proving grounds at Kummersdorf echo with the thunderous growl of Maybach HL-230 engines, where exhaust fumes choke the crisp spring air as you, now Oberleutnant Hans Becker, observe from an observation bunker. Promoted after surviving the winter hell, you're part of the inspection team for the 51st Panzer Battalion, your eyes fixed on the sleek silhouette of the new Panzerkampfwagen 5 Panther AUSF D prototype. The tank's 45-ton frame rolls over test obstacles, its sloped frontal armor, 80mm thick, angled at 55 degrees, mirroring the T-34's revolutionary design, but refined with German precision. Welds are smooth, optics from Zeiss crystal clear, and the long-barreled 75mm KWK-42 gun promises to penetrate 140mm at 1,000 meters. Engineers in white coats scribble notes, while General Guderian, reinstated as Inspector General of Armored Troops, nods approvingly amidst the clatter of tools and radio chatter. The urgency is palpable. Since the Moscow debacle, the Eastern Front has become a voracious maw, devouring men and machines. Stalingrad's ruins, where T-34s from General Vasily Chukov's 62nd Army turned Paulus's 6th Army into ghosts, underscore the need. Captured T-34s, redesignated as Panzer 747 Juar, fill gaps in Wehrmacht units, their simplicity now envied as Panther production lags. Mechanical teething issues plague the interleaved Schachtelaufwerk wheels, prone to mud clogging and breakdowns. In Berlin, Albert Speer ramps factories in Essen and Nuremberg, but output trickles. Only 200 Panthers ready by summer, against thousands of T-34s pouring from Ural plants. The battlefield calls. July 5, 1943, Operation Citadel unleashes at Kursk, the largest tank battle in history. You're in the southern pincer, with the 10th SS Panzer Corps under Hauser, your Panther company attached to the Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler Division. The sun beats down on the Prokhorovka salient, wheat fields swaying like a golden sea, hiding minefields and pack fronts, dense anti-tank nests. The air shimmers with heat haze, the scent of ripening grain mixing with cordite as Stukas scream overhead. Your Panther lurches forward, the 700 horsepower engine propelling it at 55 km/h, tracks biting into the earth better than predecessors, but still vulnerable to the mud. Contact at 0900 hours. T-34s from the Soviet 5th Guards Tank Army, under General Pavel Rotmistrov, charge from hull-down positions, their upgraded 85mm ZIS S-53 guns, in later models, barking defiance. The first exchange, your gunner, now Oberfeldwebel Karl Müller, sights a T-34 at 1,500 meters. The KWK-42 booms, the high-velocity round slicing through the Soviets' turret like butter, detonating the ammo rack in a spectacular fireball. Cheers erupt over the intercom, revenge for 41. But the Soviets swarm, 100 strong. closing to knife fight ranges where slopes equalize. A T-34 rams your flank, the impact jarring bones as sparks fly from scraping armor. Müller traverses, firing point-blank into the side, hull crumpling. Chaos engulfs the field. Panthers prowl like cats, their guns outranging foes, but numbers tell: over 800 Soviet tanks versus 200 German heavies. Mechanical failures strike, transmissions overheat, final drives shear under stress. One Panther, commanded by SS Hauptsturmführer Heinrich von Brandt, brews up from a side hit, the interleaved wheels trapping mud that ignites from friction. Soviet crews exploit, maneuvering with Christie agility, wide tracks floating over soft ground. Rotmistrov's orders crackle. Steel, not flesh. T-34s press, ramming tactics turning melees into demolition derbies. You witness a Panther platoon decimate a company, but artillery from 152mm howitzers rains down, shattering tracks. By July 12th, Prokhorovka's climax, clashing steel, the air thick with smoke and the screams of burning men. Your Panther takes a glancing 85mm hit, the slope deflecting it, but the shockwave stuns Vogel, blood trickling from his ears. Retaliation. Müller holds 3 T-34s in succession, their crews bailing into machine gun fire from supporting Panzer grenadiers. Yet the cost mounts. 150 Panthers lost or damaged, many to breakdowns rather than enemy fire. The T-34's mass production triumphs. Cheap, reliable, expendable. German quality can't stem the tide. Citadel falters, the salient unbreached. In the aftermath, fields become graveyards, twisted hulks smoking under the sun, recovery teams hauling wrecks under sniper fire. Guderian laments in reports, the Panther is superior but too few, too late. Upgrades follow, AUSF, A with better turrets, but the T-34 evolves too, the 85 variant matching firepower. The Eastern Front's balance shifts irrevocably, the once mocked Soviet machine birthing Germany's finest, yet unable to save the Reich from the inexorable Red Advance. August 23, 1943. The smoldering aftermath of Kursk hangs heavy over the Oral salient, where the acrid smoke from burned-out tanks curls into the hazy sky like accusatory fingers. Your Oberleutnant Hans Becker, surveying the wreckage from atop your scarred Panther, the hull pocked with shrapnel scars from the recent maelstrom. The ground is a mosaic of churned earth and metal corpses, twisted T-34s intermingled with Panthers and Tigers, their interleaved wheels frozen in death grips on the mud. Recovery crews from the 656th Heavy Panzerjäger Regiment toil under the relentless sun, winches straining to haul salvageable hulks back to railheads, while burial details enter the fallen amid the buzz of flies and the distant rumble of retreating artillery. Feldwebel Müller, his face gaunt from rations and fatigue, climbs up beside you, handing over a canteen. The Panther's a beauty when she works, Herr Oberleutnant, but those Ivans, they breed like rabbits. For every one we kill, 2 more roll off their lines. The retreat begins in earnest. Operation Kutuzov hammers Army Group Center, T-34s from the Bryansk front spearheading breakthroughs, their masses overwhelming quality. Soviet production peaks, over 15,000 T-34s in 1943 alone, variants like the T-34-85 mounting the fearsome 85mm D5T gun, outgunning early Panthers at range. Your battalion, reduced to a handful, integrates fixes, side skirts to deflect anti-tank rifles, Zimmerit paste against magnetic mines. But the teething persists. Transmissions fail under the Eastern Front's rigors, spare parts scarce as Speer's factories divert to bombers amid Allied raids. Near Kharkov, recaptured by the Reds, you ambush a T-34 column from the 1st Tank Army under General Mikhail Katukov. Müller's gun claims 2, the KWK-42's precision shining, but flanking Su-85 tank destroyers, built on T-34 chassis, return fire, their 85mm piercing your comrade's glacis at 800 meters. As 1944 dawns, the graveyard sprawls from the Dnieper to the Vistula. Bagration unleashes in June, T-34s of the First Belarusian Front under Rokossovsky shredding 3 German armies. You fight a rearguard near Minsk, your Panther hull down in a birch grove, the leaves whispering secrets as Soviet scouts probe. The air vibrates with Katyusha rockets, earth erupting in geysers of dirt. A T-34-85 bursts through the underbrush, its turret traversing with upgraded 2-plane stabilization for firing on the move. You engage at 200 meters, the hit vaporizing the commander's hatch, but the swarm continues, infantry from the 65th Army clinging to hulls, PPS submachine guns ready. Schultz maneuvers desperately, but a track mine immobilizes you, forcing bailout under withering fire. Captured and interrogated in a makeshift camp near Baranovichi, you face a Soviet major, his uniform adorned with Order of the Red Banner. Through a translator, he probes about the Panther. Your copycat tank, impressive but complicated. Our T-34 is the people's weapon, simple, unbreakable. You nod silently, recalling the evolution. The T-34's influence birthing not just Panther, but Tiger II and Jagdpanther, all echoing its slopes. Yet Germany's output lags, 6,000 Panthers total versus 50,000 plus T-34s. Liberated months later by advancing allies, as a POW your war ends in a gulag echo, but in this narrative haze, imagine the front's pulse. By 1945, the endgame unfolds. T-34s cross the Oder in January, Zhukov's forces encircling Berlin. Panthers defend in urban rubble, their long guns sniping from barricades, but fuel shortages strand them as monuments. In the Reichstag's shadow, a T-34 from the 3rd Shock Army rams a King Tiger, the clash symbolizing the inversion, the mocked becoming the mocker. Hitler, in his bunker, rages at reports. Panther battalions like the 106th reduced to infantry, their tanks abandoned for want of parts. The red flag rises on May 2nd, the Eastern Front a vast cemetery, millions dead, landscapes scarred by tread marks. Decades later, the legacy endures. The T-34, born of desperation in Kharkov's forges, revolutionized armor, slope standard, diesel ubiquitous. Germany's desperate race yielded engineering marvels, but too late, too few. You, Becker, if surviving, might reflect in a post-war memoir. We laughed at its crudeness, but it buried our dreams in the steppes. The Eastern Front's graveyard, etched in history, whispers of hubris undone by simplicity's blade.